The world is changing faster than anyone thought possible. For decades, the biggest problem in our society has been the difference between countries that have enough money and those that don't. But now, something that has never happened before is happening. Behind closed doors, the World Bank is quietly putting in place a plan that will completely change the way global finance works. For more than 50 years, the World Bank has been funding global development. The Digital Poverty Alleviation Initiative is what it's called, and XRP is what it stands for. You did hear that right. In the past, the mainstream media made fun of XRP as just another cryptocurrency. Now it is being pushed as the core of the biggest system ever for funding charitable projects. Internal papers that were leaked and statements from people who work for the World Bank's Digital Finance Division say that the organization is planning to use the XRP ledger to build a global network for distributing aid. The thinking is very smart and easy to understand. Traditional aid methods don't work because money gets lost and resources are wasted before they can reach people who need them. What is the World Bank's plan to fix this? Openness, speed, and responsibility. And these three things can only be done with blockchain, especially XRP's distributed ledger technology. This technology can handle transactions in 3 seconds, keep track of all the movements of value, and get rid of the middlemen who used to change the way aid was given out for personal gain. Think about this. A town in the middle of nowhere in Africa gets digital money from the World Bank in seconds, not months. In South America, a single mother can check in real time that her aid payment is real without having to worry about bribery, bank closures, or political involvement. That was always the promise of blockchain. Freedom. This is about making things more human. It's important for the World Bank that all money goes where it's meant to go, and that can only happen if money has a clear trail. These changes aren't just about technology, they're also about right and wrong. Here's where things really shock me. Analysts are calling this model the XRP Macroeconomic Stabilization Framework, and it is part of the same papers. It's the World Bank's way of figuring out how much XRP would have to be worth in order to stabilize emerging economies if it were used as the key asset for all development projects. Second scene, the LER value of $50,000. It's $50,000 per XRP. Yes, $50,000. The model says that's the price at which XRP could help developing markets get access to global funding without causing inflation or making fiat currencies less stable. XRP is the key to making the world market more fair. Scene 3. And the amazing result they reached. At that price, XRP is no longer just a stopgap currency. It is the backbone of a new, more fair global economy. Let's take a moment to think about what that means. Investors have been guessing for years about how XRP could be used in institutional funding, cross-border payments, and digital currencies issued by central banks. But this isn't like that. This is about reason. This is about how to use technology to help whole groups of people get out of poverty. The World Bank is basically saying that if the financial system is going to change, it should change for everyone. XRP, with its lightning-fast transactions, ability to grow, and lack of bias, is the right tool for this mission. It doesn't help any one country or bank. It doesn't depend on collecting or using a lot of energy. It makes everything fair. If you've been following XRP's story, you know that it has had to deal with constant opposition, lawsuits, false information, and market manipulation. Those same global companies that ignored it in the past are now building the next era of finance on top of it. There is a reason for this happening now. Global debt is at an all-time high, paper currencies are losing value, and old-fashioned banking systems are, well, breaking down from the lack of efficiency they face. There is no longer a myth about the global reset that economists have been warning us about for years. We can see it happening right in front of our eyes. Instead of gold or oil, XRP is being quietly positioned as the bridge to a new monetary system. Reports say that the World Bank's plan is to work with national governments and large NGOs to test XRP-based financial rails in the poorest countries. Early tests in Africa and Southeast Asia have already shown that XRP-based aid got to people up to 97% faster than standard methods with almost no fraud. As one researcher at the World Bank put it, this is the first time we can see the flow of hope in real time. That word alone says a lot about what this ship means. Not only is money going, but trust is also being healed. Ripple is behind this project. They are the ones who created XRP's ledger system in the first place. Even though Ripple says it has nothing to do with the price of XRP on the market, governments and groups that want to be more efficient have long been interested in its infrastructure. The relationship with the World Bank is a turning point that goes from new ideas, from startups to global policy adoption. What's most interesting is how quietly this change is happening. There aren't any big news stories or flashy press statements that say XRP saves the world. Why? This isn't about hype. It's about being in charge, being precise, and being ready. Let's talk about how much it's worth, $50,000 per XRP. Even though it sounds crazy, it makes sense when you think about how many XRP are actually in circulation compared to the overall supply of 100 billion. If XRP is to help settle international trade, remittances, global aid flows, and maybe even the stabilization of sovereign debt, then trillions or even quadrillions of dollars in cash must be shown online. At a value of $50,000, XRP could easily be the world's safety net for cash. This is the main idea behind the macroeconomic model, one asset that can be scaled up or down to meet the needs of any big economy's cash flow without causing problems in the system. And to be honest, the effects are huge. This means that XRP would be the neutral reserve asset of the 21st century. It wouldn't replace national currencies. Instead, it would connect them all. This way, countries could trade and work together without having to deal with currency wars, bans, or, well, SWIFT's flaws. Through XRP's neutral record, the dollar, euro, and yuan could all be used interchangeably. That's how world stability starts. Not with control, but with linking. It's impossible to say enough about how moral this story is. Many billions of dollars have been spent around the world for decades to fight poverty, but much of that money has been wasted on wasteful and corrupt activities. That changes with blockchain. Adopting XRP by the World Bank isn't just a technical move, it's also a moral one. Every exchange is a promise kept, and every donation is proof of trust. Of course, this makes us wonder what will happen to the wider crypto market if XRP becomes an important part of the World Bank's work. What happens when large amounts of XRP are locked up by institutions to fund development projects? Value goes up when there aren't enough of something, and XRP's price ceiling could go away at some point. It's no longer just a guess that we might be seeing the start of the biggest change in the value of money in modern times. For the first time, math, policy, and the need for a world solution all line up. The rumors are getting louder. Insiders say that this XRP-based aid system will be rolled out first in a few pilot countries and then all over the world over the next 3 years. The World Bank plans to handle almost 70% of all foreign payments for development electronically by the year 2020. In this case, openness becomes the norm around the world, and wrongdoing can be found, punished, and finally stopped. Money that isn't clear is no longer possible. This is the start of the era of digital responsibility. What does this mean for you? This means that we are at the point where ethics, science, and money all meet, a place where new ideas and kindness meet. The same token that was used for trading on speculation could soon be used by millions to show their survival, honor, and progress. For investors, it shows that XRP's real value isn't just in deals or banking integration, but in its power to change the way value moves around the world. The elites did not want you to see this world reset. A fresh start that isn't based on fear or power, but on honesty and fairness. The World Bank knows that the old systems are dying and that fiat currencies are falling apart from debt. They also know that digital lines are the only way to move forward. But they're not letting private banks or government powers control the chia. And instead, they're securing it with a neutral, open-source network that can be checked by everyone. That's XRP. That is the change. We're moving into a new era where technology not only connects us, but also frees us, and where financial systems no longer help a few people, but give power to many. These days, the World Bank's $50,000 price for XRP might seem like a dream, but digital money did too 20 years ago. Really, this isn't about price, it's about why. The goal of XRP is not to make people rich, but to restore faith in the system that shapes society. That's the main reason why the global restart has already started, in a quiet but strong way that was bound to happen. Nota bene, do not forget that I am not a professional financial advisor. The information in these movies is only meant to be entertaining. Before making any financial decisions, I always tell my viewers to do their own study and talk to professionals. Thanks for listening. Give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the follow button if you liked it. Make sure you turn on alerts so you know right away when I post something new. In the next movie, I can't wait to catch up with you. Be careful,